Hi, everybody. Good evening here from Toronto, Canada. I am Tracy Sider, host of the Moving and Reshaping Club Facebook group, where we are having our Reshape Your Walk Spring 5-Day Challenge this week, and creator of the Reshape Method program. And I am so excited to have with us tonight recent Reshape Method graduate, Sidura Ludwig, who is a award-winning author. And thank you so much for coming to speak to us tonight about your experience in the Reshape Method program.
Thank
so
you.
maybe tell us a little bit about you, where you are, what you do, and what made you curious in giving the Reshape Method a try.
So my name is Sidura. Thanks, Tracy, for having me on. I also live just Toronto area, and I'm a writer, and I have been a writer for the better part of 30 years, which means that you are all, this is my office. I will not give you a tour, but this is where I spend the vast majority of my work time, sitting. And I sit to work, and there's no two ways about that. I I don't know where do I start? I guess 7 years ago when I turned 40, I threw my back for the first time, and that was the first time that I went to go see a chiropractor for help, and he was very helpful. But it was the first time that anybody ever brought to my attention that my lifestyle, even though I thought fairly active, not sporty, but fairly active. My lifestyle was problematic and going to cause me pain. And so I'd say over the last 7 years, I've done different tweaks and changes to try to learn things. I've got a bit of a dynamic workspace-ish. I've got a standing desk that I use. I used to have a beanbag chair. I would focus on stretching. I walk. There were all these things that I kept adding into my routine in the hopes of not having the back pain and throwing out my back. But it kept happening. And I learned that when I was throwing out my back, it was actually my hips, and I was really tight in certain areas. The Reshape Method was something I'd always had my eye on. I was particularly, I joined your perimenopausal group, and I was always attracted to a wellness program that was aimed at a woman my age who was having the kinds of issues that I was having, the back pain, the tightness, the frustration that when I wasn't having pain and then I would do something and try to be more active, that I might then, throw out my back, or, have hip issues. And so what finally got me to do it was, we had been away on a trip as a family. We had been doing a lot of walking. I was using a backpack, and my back just on the last day just like right and seized up. And I was like, I can't live like this, because it's so debilitating to then not be able to move, to be uncomfortable. I've got 3 kids. It's a busy house. I need to stop feeling like my body is constantly falling apart. And I was starting to feel that way. And so that's how I came to the Reshape Method.
Amazing. And so what are the biggest changes that you have noticed in your body since doing the Reshape Method?
So the two biggest changes. Number one, I'm not in the kind of pain and discomfort I was in. So that's a huge, that's like the overall, that was what I came in hoping for, and that's what I've come out with. I'm not in the pain and discomfort that I was in. More specifically, what does that mean? I'm a lot more flexible than I was before. And so specifically what that means is, like lunges, I was finding that when I would do a lunge, so 1 foot in front of the other and sort of going down, I'm not going to demonstrate for everyone, but you know what I mean. I I wasn't able to get all the way down to the floor. I was much tighter on my left side, so therefore I was also very imbalanced. I was feeling really shaky. And by the end of the Reshape method, all of a sudden I was doing these lunges and I'm going up and down no problem. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that before. And then I
Right.
could.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so there's that. My calf muscles, I would wake up in the morning, my calf muscles felt like rocks all the time. And they don't anymore. I don't have the calf pain. I don't have the foot pain that I was having before. When I do have, any kind of discomfort, I was having a shoulder issue at one point. I feel now like I have the knowledge about how my body works to work my way through that. And I don't have to wait until it gets to a crisis point and then run to go see a chiropractor and then, be in debilitating pain. I can manage my body. I can get it back to a state of comfort for me. I know what to do in terms of the stretches.
And how does that feel? How does that feel to have that kind of knowledge and information and insight about your body?
It's empowering. It's 100% empowering, right? Like I shouldn't, it makes me feel then like my physical body is where my mental state is.
Right.
I'm 47 years old. I don't feel like I'm old, but so I don't want to feel like my body is breaking. I mean, I don't think I'm going to want to feel that way when I'm 67 or 87. Like I want to be able to do the things I want to be able to do.
Did you feel like your body's not holding you back anymore? Did you feel like your body was holding you back? So tell us a little bit about that.
So I would say, yeah, my body was holding me. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be a sporty person, or like I'm not trying to jump out of airplanes or do anything like that. But this trip that we did, and where I said we were doing a lot of walking, I should have what I expected to feel by the end of 2 weeks of doing a lot of walking and moving around was to feel more, to feel healthier and fitter. And actually that wasn't what I felt by the end of the trip. By the end of the trip, I felt tight and pain, and I felt like my muscles were screaming at me. And now I feel like I have all of the tools that I need to be able to do that kind of, long walks and hiking and the things that I enjoy without having to worry that that I'm going to wake up the next day and not be able to get out of bed.
Yeah, yeah. So this week we are doing our spring Reshape Your Walk challenge. Tell us a little bit about what going through the Reshape method has done for your walk and what that process was, because a big part of what we're doing, I'm giving people a taste of what it is to walk properly. What does it feel like to have gone through the Reshape method and to actually feel that happening in your body?
It's so subtle, but so important, the changes that happen. And subtle, I mean, okay, like how do I explain this? I was already a walker. So it's not that I had to fit the walking into my schedule. Walking was something that I was doing anyway, and I will often look for opportunities to walk, especially when the weather's nice. What I learned in the Reshape method in terms of my alignment, in terms of how I move and what body parts are moving, all of the sudden I'm feeling stronger in my butt. I'm feeling stronger in, the sides of my legs. I'm feeling like I'm lifting myself and moving in a way that's more graceful. That feels like I didn't realize before that I wasn't using all the muscles that I could be using. And now when I'm out for a walk, I recognize, okay, I can feel it. I can feel that, you call it the pelvic listing, and then that's something you learn in the Reshape Method program. But these are small, subtle changes that I can feel are already making a huge difference. And then I have to say, it's also about learning about the different stretches afterwards. And again, maybe that's not necessarily I don't know if that's a taste of what people will get in the walk, but recognizing how I can, throughout my day, cool down my muscles, stretch my muscles, and find different ways to work those into my day without having to stop and say, okay, now is a time for a half hour workout.
Amazing. So what was the biggest aha moment that you had going through the Reshape method?
Oh gosh. My biggest aha moment. I think what I mentioned it just now. I think pelvic listing was probably my biggest aha moment because that was when I realized what it really meant to move, to hold the weight of my body on one side, and what it really meant to balance, and what it really meant to what muscles I really needed to be using to lift my legs up and walk. And I caught on to that very quickly. So I was able to make that change very quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so I've noticed from a strength perspective,
Right.
um, probably that. The other part of the reshape method that I continue to work on is the breathing and the importance of how to breathe properly and what that means for in terms of the muscles, my core muscles, and how I'm holding myself.
Mhm.
So these are all lessons that I think about every day.
Yeah, yeah. So you feel that the Reshape method is really an on the mat and off the mat program,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because how is it not an exercise program? How is it different to anything you may have done before or any solution that you were trying to find?
It's so all-encompassing and multifaceted. I mean, the amount of information and education that you provide to the users through your lessons, that it brings it, that's what brings it up a whole notch. The exercises are a part of that, but it's not the whole package. You know, if I wanted an exercise routine, there are a million videos on YouTube that I could commit to doing a half hour a day. What you've developed for users is an awareness and an education about how our bodies work and about really what we need in order to feel better. And it's not just about the exercises. It's about how we breathe. It's about how our muscles work. It's about our sleeping. It's about drinking water. Like it's all of these things that you work in that I've been able to then incorporate. And it's also, you know what, there's something that you say, I think, a few times throughout the program, which is every little bit counts. And I remind myself of that every day. Every little bit counts, you know. So no matter what I'm incorporating, it's more than what I was doing before. And it helps. And it's, you know, and it's
Yeah.
help and it's just
Mhm.
manageable.
Fantastic. So tell us some other, are there like specific things in your day, you know, in your personal time, in your work time, in your, you know, running around after the kids, what things are different now?
What's really different, the main thing that's really different now is that I don't just I don't just know that I need to fit in um, a half hour of stretching. I feel that I need to fit in that half hour of stretching. I need it, and whether I work it at the beginning of the day or at the end of the
Mhm.
day, I need that concentrated period of time almost every day to really feel good and to
Mhm.
reconnect with my
Right.
body. And then on top of that, are all of the little movements that I can do, like when I'm brushing my teeth, like when I'm using my standing desk and I have a ball on the floor and I can be stretching my foot, top of the foot stretches. These are things that I find,
Mhm.
oh, I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm washing dishes. All right, I'm going to
Yeah.
do, that kind of stretch. And so building in the opportunity for those sorts of
Mhm.
stretches throughout the day has also made a huge difference.
And how are you feeling now in your body, your relationship with your body, how you feel in your body? Do you just think about your body less because it's just supporting you more?
You know, it's
And
funny.
about
I
aging,
mean,
right?
I don't feel as negative towards,
Yes.
I'm feeling less negative towards my body. I
Mhm.
mean, I think about my body a lot, but it's more from a sense of wonder. It's more
Yes.
about, okay, what else can I learn then about my body and how it's working and how it works for me? Um, I feel a lot more hopeful in my body. I feel like, I feel like the reshape method was the beginning of something. It wasn't that I did it and that's the end. I feel like I've got a strong foundation now, and I'm like, okay, what do I want to try next? Now that I know that I have this foundation, where do I want to go next with this? And I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But I know, I know that I'm going to continue to incorporate a lot of the lessons that I've learned because I feel good.
Right. And what would you say to people who are on the fence, who've been like checking out the Reshape method, listening to all the graduate reviews, and they've tried so many things because, by the time you're a midlife woman like us, this is not your first rodeo, okay?
I would say like I would say it's worth it. It's worth the money, it's worth the time. It'll feel overwhelming at first because it's not just an exercise program, it's an education. Treat it like you've signed on to a course. And but it's a course then you don't have to worry about getting graded for. But it's really an educational experience, and one that you're going to be able to build into your everyday life afterwards. And it easily fits in to your life afterwards. Once you've developed all of the habits and the skills in the program, to then continue with that, and to feel your body continuing to make those changes.
Amazing. And what does it feel like to not have these pains? So many women I speak to, they come, they talk to me, and I ask them about the aches and pains they have. They start by saying, well, I don't have aches and pains. And then we start talking and they tell me about the neck pain and the hip pain and the foot pain, because I think so many of us have just normalized having certain issues in our body, maybe because we've had them for so long, we don't even realize we have tightness in our neck. And it's just those squeaky wheels or putting your back out that is reminding you that your body is not working well. So what does it feel now just not to have those things any longer?
It reminds me of, you're describing me exactly. I had no idea that I had a tight neck. I had no idea that that's where I was holding everything until I had this issue with my shoulder. And, on top of the Reshape method, I was also seeing my chiropractor, who I've developed a good relationship with, and at one point in the process of getting better, something happened, and I ended up feeling, unwell, and I was really beating myself up over it. And I went to go see him, and I was all frustrated. And I described everything that I was doing, and I would described, how I had this problem, but I was getting better. But I was focused on the fact that I had this problem. And he was like, hold on a minute. He said, you know what, like, no, so you've got the skills, you've worked through it, you're feeling better. You're doing fantastic, was what he said to me. And I realized I had to stop blaming myself for the aches and pains. I was spending not only a lot of time in the discomfort, but I was blaming myself. And looking after myself in the way that I've been doing through this program and other things has taught me, like, no, I can take control of this. I've got to stop blaming myself, because it's not going to help me to feel better. And I can develop the skills that I need in order to live a more comfortable life in my body. And that feels really empowering.
Amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about that feeling of being empowered? And it sounds like almost like there's a sense of freedom. Do you find you also have more productivity, perhaps, in terms of in your day and
Yep.
work? Yeah.
Yeah, I have more, I definitely have more productivity. I mean, the work that I do, like I said, I'm a writer. I write fiction for the most part. So, I've a lot of my writing it happens here, but it can also happen while I'm on my walks, because a lot of it happens up here before it happens on the page. Of course, if I'm in less discomfort, if I'm feeling good, then my creative energy doesn't have to go towards trying to manage the pain. It can go towards the other things that I want to do in my life. And those times when I've thrown out my back and all I'm doing is trying to manage that discomfort, but get everything else done. I mean, when you can't stand up straight, when you can't walk without, there were times when I was having so much discomfort. I needed like a cane to walk. I don't want to be I don't want to be walking with a cane ever, even if it's just temporary. I just,
Right.
I don't need to be that way. It doesn't have to get that bad.
Well, thank you so much for coming to chat to us tonight and for joining us in the Reshape Method. We hope you will stay on with us for a while to come. There's more to come in the Reshape Method as well. I'm busy developing a graduate program, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Amazing.
Because this first program is, as you said, it's just the start. It's the start of reshaping and realigning and getting your body just to move the way it was meant to move. And we say a lot in the Reshape Method program that what we are doing is taking charge of our change, taking charge of our changing 40 plus bodies. Do you feel like you've done that?
Yeah. Yeah. I really do. And I feel like I can continue to do that. And I can ask the questions that I need to ask, when things are happening. And I can, the sky's the limit in terms of what I can do and what I choose to do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thanks,
And I
Tracy.
hope you enjoy walking with us. For the week, we have got nearly 300 women signed up for this week's Reshape Your Walk challenge. And it's a love that the sun has finally come out in Toronto. So I'm hoping to see lots of people walking around and looking forward. I hope you're going to share some of your pics, your walking pics in the Facebook group as well. Where do you love to walk?
Where do I love to walk?
Yes.
Where I love to walk and where I end up walking are two different things. I'm a habitual walker. I like to. I take my dog. We have a route. We do. I know that I'm supposed to vary it, but we basically follow the same route every time because I like to be able to walk and not think about my walking. Where I prefer to walk would be more in nature. There's a town where we have a family cottage that's been in my family for many, many years in Gimli, Manitoba. And I would say that probably my favorite place to walk is along the boardwalk of the beach there. But that only happens, in the summer once a year. But I would say I love to walk anywhere that's got like a body of water nearby.
Amazing. I do too. Not much of that here. We live in a place called Thornhill, and it's more like Spot the Hill.
Yeah. Lots of sidewalks, lots of cute little dogs to say hi to along the way.
But a big part of that is also just learning, no matter where you live, where you are in the world, to get as much value out of the space that you have available. So I hope that people will be able to learn to do that in the challenge as well. Well, thank you so much for coming to join us tonight, and we hope to see you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tracy.